chapter 11 is called The Fiancé Before the Fiancé Before Last. Okay. I'm sorry, Fishlegs, whispered Hiccup from the darkness of the cage, suspended way above the forest floor. Oh, don't worry, sighed Fishlegs, his voice still tight with disappointment. It wouldn't exactly to be thrilled to be find I was related to these guys anyway. Even by archipelago standards, they seem even more than extraordinarily loopy. It was just that it would be nice for once just to be the hero and not the big joke. Oh, Fishlegs, and it'd be nice to know who my family were. We're your family, us hooligans, whispered Hiccup. Toothless and me, in the meantime. There was another long pause. Thanks for following me, Hiccup, said Fishlegs, after some time. Excuse me, said a voice from the cage next door, the moonlight illuminating a young man wearing a helmet with the distinctive horns of the Lost Tribe. Oh, that's interesting, the Lost Tribe. I haven't really heard about them before. Wonder why they're lost. Anyway, sorry to disturb you, but the guy 2 hedges down would like to have a word with you. Hiccup! Bellowed a hearty voice from 3 cages down. Hiccup Renaissance the Third! I couldn't really see who you were with all those berserks around you, but fancy meeting you here. Who's that? Whispered Hiccup, trying to squint through the cages in the darkness and seeing nothing but the dim outline of someone popping up and down with excitement. It's me, bellowed the voice. Monkishly Hotshot the hero. Ah, do you remember Lavalight Island, the thousands and thousands of exterminated dragons, the volcano exploding? Now that was a tight spot. A ripple of excitement along the cages. Oh, hang on, which one fiancé is that? First fiancé, I don't believe it. It's humongously Hotshot the hero. Fifth fiancé, it's almost worth being fed horribly to the beast just to have the pleasure of meeting the bravest, coolest man in the archipelago. Ninth fiancé, nonsense. I am in fact the bravest, coolest man in the archipelago, and I noticed that this Hotshot has lost some weight. A proper hero has a good, proper belly. Fifth fiancé, how dare you say that about Monkishly Hotshot the hero? Reach for your sword and meet me with steel. God. Eighth fiancé, promptly, whenever and wheresoever you wish. Fifth fiancé, between gritted teeth, your face is uglier than a baboon's bottom. Eighth fiancé, and you have the mug of a pig with the plague. Fifth fiancé, fool. Eighth fiancé, moron. Fifth fiancé, vegetarian. Look at them all there, they're all in their cages. And there's humongously Hotshot the hero. And that, oh yes, that's Fishlegs. Look, he's got loads of scarers around his cage. And if only they had been free, the fiancés would clearly have been sword fighting madly, but as it was, they were heavily changed and trussed up, so all they could do was throw themselves around wildly about their cages, which they did with gusto. Ignore them, grinned Humongous. They do that all day long. What are you doing here, Hiccup? I seem to be Princess Tantrum's 12th fiancé. And how about you? Asked Hiccup, immensely cheered by the presence of Humongous, whom he admired enormously. I thought you would never love again. Humongous's last impossible task led to him spending 15 years in Lavalight Jail, in the Lavalight Jail forges, which was enough to put anybody off. But that was before I met her. Oh, how lovely he's fallen in love, said Hiccup Humongous rapturously, and he shook a heroic fist at the moon above. Can't a man have a second chance? He shouted at the starry heavens. First fiancé, you betcha. Third fiancé, too right. Fifth fiancé, yes sirree. The fiancés rattled their cages madly. It is an honour to die for the love of Princess Tantrum, cried Humongous heroic to the last. And now that you betchas and yes sirrees were a little more thoughtful from the other fiancés, as if they hadn't really bargained on actually dying for their love. But dying is out of the question, called out humongously Hotshot. Princess Tantrum would be so upset. We must get out of here at all costs. Easier said than done. And even if by some miracle we were to get out of here, who is she going to marry? Hiccup pointed out all the fiancés together. Me! Well, she can't marry all of you, Hiccup said. Hang on a second. How many cages away are you, Humongous? 1, 2, 3. Humongous! You must be the fiancé before last. Congratulations. I suppose I must, admitted Humongous Hotshot. And thank you. What does that mean? Princess Tantrum said the fiancé she was in love with was the fiancé before last, exclaimed Hiccup. Humongous coughed modestly. I suspect she might be, he said. First fiancé, well, that's a bit of a blow. Sixth fiancé, you mean, considering we're all about to be fed to the beast and everything. Third fiancé, yes, I think it's pretty gutting, really. I spent quite a lot of time on that love poetry. I really did. It was soppy as anything. Fourth fiancé, oh, did you write it yourself? I got mine from a little bard I know down in the weird territories. I'll give you directions if you like, in case we get out of here and you want to use him for next time. Third fiancé, you know that, to be frank with you, I've been wondering whether for me there will actually be a next time. I mean, is this whole love business worth it? It's too dangerous. Second fiancé, yes, I know, and did you see the father-in-law? I mean, put me off a bit, I can tell you. I'm not sure I fancy popping over there for family get-togethers. All the fiancés together, you betcha. Too right, yes, sirree. But this is marvellous, cried Kumangashi Hotshot the hero. Now all we need to do is to think of a way out of here, and it's happy endings all round. Unfortunately, I'm a little tied up here. I've been trying to bite my way out, but I haven't had a lot of luck. Shades of metal, explained Hiccup. But you'll come up with a plan, Hiccup, said Mungously Hotshot with touching confidence. You're a really chap. Quiet now, everyone. Hiccup is thinking. We haven't got much time. Toothless snored loudly inside Hiccup's waistcoat, groaning and holding his tummy. At any other time, Hiccup would be worried to death about him. Right now, he had too much else to be thinking of. Quietness descended on the 13 cages, swaying gently up in the treetops. Hiccup thought and thought, but no plan came to him. And as Hiccup thought, one by one, the fiancés fell asleep and only Fishlegs was awake. Fishlegs' cage was so beset by scarers that you could barely see poor Fishlegs within it. I wish it was as stupid as those fiancés, sighed Fishlegs, and then I wouldn't have to be scared the whole time. The fiancés were indeed snoring without a care in the world, as if they were snoozing on grassy knolls on their cosy island homes rather than facing death by sacrifice in only a couple of hours. It did seem well unfair. Such was the gentle rocking of the caged cages and the snoring of the fiancés and the humming, buzzing, droning of the berserk bees in the background that eventually even Fishlegs and Hiccup dozed off too, Hiccup's dreaming mind full of impossible escapes. And Hiccup had only just dropped off before he was woken, this time by a noise. In the pitchy darkness, there was the sound of footsteps walking along the wooden bridge towards him. Or to be more precise, the sound of one footstep followed by a tap. The tap of someone who had a wooden leg and who was dragging chains behind him. Tap, step tap, clank clank, step tap, tap clank, step tap, tap tap. Hiccup cringed back as far as he could into the cage, but of course there was nowhere to go. Slowly into the cage there reached a terrible dark hook which caught Hiccup by the collar and dragged him up to the bars, where he came face to face with one eye and the wooden nose and the glittering even smile of blistering whiskers and anchovy armpits and great hairy toenails of Thor. Hiccup hardly dared to think that this adventure could get even worse, but it looked horribly like it might be Alvin the Treacherous. Chapter 12 is called Alphonse, the talented but emotional French chef, who I rather suspected might be Alvin in disguise. I'll have to see. I can't remember what problem did we leave Alvin in last time. My goodness, it wasn't the lava loud mine tooth, was it? How on earth did he get out of that one? Anyway, we'll probably find out next chapter. I can't remember. Okay.